I'm Joanne Cary. Welcome back to Embodied Soul, a multidimensional space intended to support you in mastering, living, being, and thriving as the embodied soul you are. I'm back once again. This seems to be the place where I get the most inspiration on what the next episode should be. And today I'm going to talk about control and why it is so important that we address our need for control, how it shows up for us. Because if you do not reflect on and you're still trying to control your life or other people, you will keep yourself tethered to the lower dimensional realm, back to the 3D, and you will keep yourself feeling stuck. So if you're ready to join me, pull up a comfy chair, invite in your soul, and be open to receive exactly what you need to live, be, and thrive as the embodied soul you are. So let's talk about control. For me, this was a huge one, and it's still an ongoing. There are still times where I want to control how things go. If you haven't listened to last week's episode on moving with the ebb and flow of energies, you know that you are controlling things when you are not going with the ebb and flow, because you are trying to control what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, thinking that you know best. And the part that I want everyone to reflect on, and is certainly what I've had to reflect on for a number of years as I've gone through the differing layer of onions around control, is why are we needing to control stuff? And I think even before I touch on why we need to control stuff, I'm going to ask you, do you find you need to control things? Certainly from my days at the university and pretty much how I grew up, I felt the need to control everything. I needed to plan every step. I needed time to prepare. I never wanted to be put on the spot where I needed to respond without having a chance to think about what it was that I was going to say. I controlled what food I ate. I controlled how much exercise my body got. I controlled when and where I did everything. Like, my life was crazy. I used to joke that I was a recovering control freak perfectionist. And a lot of that has fallen away because I move more with the ebb and flow of the energies, and I move more with trusting in the guidance and the whole process of creation. And I think that's where we get to as we continue this path. So where are you trying to control yourself, what you do, how you do it? Control your body, maybe how you're controlling or wanting to control your kids or your spouse or your boyfriend or your friends, how you're trying to control what happens in the world. When I got to the beach today, and I'll make sure I include in the video here some of the images, but the clouds were reflecting so perfectly on the beach. And a message had come through, and I may share it at the end of this, was the idea of as above, so below, as within, so without. And if we are trying to control anything in our external circumstance, it means that we're controlling something. We're trying to control the within side. We're not trusting. And so this takes me back to, what is it that makes us want to control? And the underlying energy of control is fear. So what does that look like? So why do you want to control things? Well, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared before meetings or before I talked, because I didn't want to look stupid. I didn't want people to laugh at me. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to make sure I looked a certain way so that I might fit in, or that people might think I look pretty. You might want to control somebody else when you don't feel that you have control yourself. So if you're feeling that you're out of control, you might be trying to control how your kids look, how your kids behave, what your kids do in order to have a certain status, or to make sure that they have friends, in order to compensate for the feelings that you don't have. it really comes down to the reasons are so varied, but you're wanting to fit in, you're wanting to be a part of a group, you're wanting to be enough, you're wanting to make sure that you remain part of the tribe, go back to these very ancestral roots of not wanting to be cast out, where you would likely die. If you got kicked out of your tribe, out of your community, out of your village, you now no longer have food, you no longer have shelter, and you would die. So a lot of this comes very ancestrally, but it has rooted itself so much in our lives. And as long as we're seeing control reflected in our reality, it means that we are still within this fear frequency. There's still fear that needs to be seen in order to be recognized and released. Because remember, we are always seeing what we need to see in the moment we need to see it in order for it to be seen, transmuted, and healed. And so it's actually a good thing that we can recognize it. And so what I would invite you to do this week is reflect a bit on where you may control or want to have control in your life, why it is, what is the underlying fear for you, or the underlying reason, if you don't prefer to use the fear as the broader term. And set the intention for yourself to become aware of when you start controlling things, so that you can consciously choose to go with choose to transmute it, and then choose to not control it, choose to take another path. And so, why? Why do I want to do this, Joanne? And part of it relates down to, as long as you have fear circulating in your system, in your cells, whether it's from current childhood experiences or sort of family inherited beliefs and limiting patterns or social constructs, we're holding ourselves into a lower level of frequency. And fear wants to create more of itself, right? It will attract and draw more fear to you. So on a personal level, well, certainly I'm going to speak for myself. I don't want to have more fear or more lack, more limitation, more contraction. I want to have expansion. I want to have joy. I want to have ease and grace. And on a very broader level, as we move forward with the accelerated energies, as we move forward in our evolution, as the earth continues to shift, even if you don't want to go through it, we're all going through this as a humanity as the earth shifts. And the need to control things that my guides have been talking to me so much for years and years now is that we need to move into a position of trust, which means we need to build our trust now while we still have some semblance of control, because we're moving into the unknown. And I've talked about this in previous episodes. The challenge with the unknown is that it's new and we have no foundations in history in order to move forward with it. And so we need to be able to trust the process. We need to be able to trust the energies. And so all of these practices that I have been sharing with you, all of these techniques that I've been sharing with you since I started this podcast, are to support you now so that you can move more gracefully on your path as you move forward. Because we are going to have to become comfortable with the discomfort. We're going to have to become comfortable with the new and not being able to have things planned out, to be able to navigate in the moment. And this is amazing. It is so much easier just to be able to move in the moment that you are in, rather than having to be in that frequency of needing to control it in order to feel safe, in order to feel like you're going to have your needs met. So begin the practice now. Begin releasing, consciously recognizing and releasing the control that you have now. Really understanding what need is being met by trying to control yourself, others, or your environment. And how can you begin to support yourself now in feeling safe in allowance? And I would suggest one way to do this is to actually allow yourself to release control and see that nothing bad happened. Allow yourself in a small situation to begin testing what it would be like if you just let yourself do something, or let someone else do something without you telling them how to do it yourself, what to do, when to do it, and allowing yourself to move with the ebb and flow of energies, for instance. Making sure that you have the intention, that you're only open to the highest for you. And as you begin to apply the practices that I've already talked about, it allows you to move with a little bit more ease and more trust and more confidence to begin feeling more comfortable moving out of the need to control and in the trust and knowing in your connection with your divine self that you're always being guided, that you're always being moved with such love and care. And as you spend less time trying to control yourself or others or your environment, you'll be more present in the moment to be able to receive the signs, the hunches, the synchronicities that are leading you to the next step on your path, that are guiding you perfectly in the perfect moment to exactly what you need for your next highest step. It's a beautiful, magical, synchronistic process that is our natural state as creator beings. And yet we've been in fear for so long that we've thought that we need to control it, and in order to make it happen, in order to be safe, in order to thrive, in order to survive. So know that you are safe in this process. There's a reason I ask you to invite in your soul every time I start this episode. And it's so that you actually do that, so that you begin to strengthen and nourish and nurture the connection you have with your soul and your guide team. That is life-changing as you begin to fully understand that you are connected as a soul, that you brought a team of guides specifically to help you live this life, and they want nothing more than for you to have the most amazing experience here, fulfilling everything that you chose to do, experience, have in this lifetime. You planned it, you are guided, and the more you surrender, the more you allow yourself permission to move with the flow of the energies, to trust that you are guided and supported, to be open in the present moment, to be open to receive the information and synchronicities, the message, the hunch, the knowing to do something or to not do something, when we talked about the non-action action in the last episode. It becomes magical. I am surprised every single day at just how magical and how supported we are as we move through this process. And with that, I'm going to close off this episode. If you enjoyed this episode of Embodied Soul, please like it, share it, turn on notifications, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on other messages just for you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Embodied Soul.